us, LIR.com, 927LIR.com, and on YouTube. I am John Kalaboukas, the Bouk, with my friend Paul Zubulake, Zoobie. So we've had some pretty exciting hockey. I actually had the joy of watching the Ranger game while I was eating Easter lunch/dinner yesterday.
Yes, happy Easter for all the Christian Orthodox population out there. Yeah, I don't think they were thinking about that, John, when they scheduled the game. They did have to. They probably lost a few viewers. Maybe people were watching on their phone at Easter dinner. Who knows what was going on? But yeah, great start for the Rangers. Just a solid win. That's all I can say. I mean, they're getting contributions from pretty much, I think would say everybody. Igor's been really solid. The top line with Zibanejad has been actually good. And, after having a kind of a crummy season 5-on-5 for their top line, they actually ended up having a really good game, and him in particular. But everybody contributed, and it was not easy, and it wasn't. And they were really on the edge there at the end, where they were down a man, and incredibly, the faceoff goes into the corner, and the guy did trip him, John. So that was, I mean, the Carolina fans can cry all they want on that. He did take him down, and they pretty much had to call it after the delay of game penalty. So there was a lot of drama in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, and what I was a little perplexed was I can never pronounce his name, but he could have had a hat trick.
Miko.
And I was saying to myself, he's right in front of the goalie. What was that? Passing it. I don't know what he was doing. All he had to do was fake out the goalie and throw it over his shoulder, and he has a hat trick.
And not to mention a big goal in the game to not have to worry about the end of the game. As good a game as he had, I'm glad you brought that up. I was definitely yelling at the TV when he did that. These guys are so unselfish, John. It's almost like they want everybody to contribute, and they want to make that was a real bizarre one. All you could do is, I mean, there's not much you can do. His top player's going to do that. He has to understand the moment, and I think it's kind of this weird, like, he doesn't like the praise, so he's almost thinking, I'll just give it up and let someone else score. He saw something behind
hockey players dream of having a one-on-one like that. I'm like, what is he doing?
Right now, no, that's what I'm saying. His unselfishness overcomes the reality of the situation. And it's a bad play by him. It really is, because it's going to put you up in the game. And irregardless to your own accolade there, you got to obviously shoot. It could have cost him big time. So he could have been the GOAT. So that's how sports works.
Yeah. And our hockey expert, Mr. Steve, made a prediction for this series. He says if the Rangers play the way they're supposed to, he thinks they'll win in 5.
Okay. All right.
He says if they start allowing the Hurricanes to start playing their game, he goes, they're still going to win, but it'll be a lot tougher. So he said 6 if the Hurricanes start playing their game, but he doesn't think. He says it's going to be a tough series, but Rangers play the way they're supposed to, 5 games.
All right. Well, he's on the record winning the Stanley Cup, so we know what his next round prediction is going to be. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for me. I'm happy for all the Ranger fans. You're gonna take it one game at a time. I mean, it's corny, but it's true. And talk about a game of momentum that can go against you at any moment. So the NHL, as always, their playoffs have been great. Boston, Toronto, Game 7. And then in the West, which I did not see, the Dallas Las Vegas game, and also Dallas winning by a goal. So there have been 2 Game 7s, and that's what it's all about in the playoffs.
Yeah, we had a lot of sad people from Toronto because obviously they're family members and calling up for Easter, and they are very upset about their Maple Leafs. And I kind of feel bad for them because they were up by 1 with like over 7 minutes to go,
Yeah,
and then
sure.
just to lose so quickly in overtime. I mean, that was just over in the blink of an eye.
I don't know why the goalie didn't come out and play that puck. I don't know what he was doing when that pass came in. Come on, get out of the net with the poke check and get that puck away. I couldn't believe it. I
Yeah.
could not believe
Yeah.
he did not play that aggressively. They had a crazy situation, right? He actually got Samsonov got pulled during the series. The
Yep.
unknown backup wins back to back, and then he gets hurt. I mean, talk about craziness. And then he came back. He played a good game, but still, he made a crucial mistake there, not playing the puck.
Yep.
Toronto goes home as usual. Again, they should just be on our show, right? With all the teams we root for, John. So
Yeah.
as I
Yeah.
always laugh about our teams that we root for the fans out there, of course, the perennial losers, is that it's so funny to say that out of our four teams, the Rangers have won the last championship, folks. The Rangers have won the last championship. That is
30
30
years.
years ago. So
Oh
any
boy.
fan base that is losing like we are, John, I have absolutely no sympathy for.
Yeah. Well, like I said, they hockey is their thing in
Oh, it's
Toronto,
their
and
thing.
you might as well have said that. You know, I mean, they were really down. Let's put it that way. They were really, really down. You're supposed to say, Christos Anesti, happy things yesterday, and after you say that and you give the greetings, it says, "Oh, I saw your Maple Leafs lost." And then for 15, 20 minutes, it's all you hear about the Maple Leafs. I'm like, okay, sorry to bring it up.
Well, John, sorry. I'm sorry you have that connection to the great city of Toronto, Canada, great country. What's kind of left of it? It's been kind of. We think we have a bad United States with our politics.
Oh,
My God,
please,
Canada.
please.
Oh, Canada. So anyway, let's move on. So again, all good. We are actually taping our show on Monday evening, a little before 7, so John can run out and myself can run out and catch the Knicks in game one with the Indiana Pacers. But I have to go back to our last show on YouTube. And by the way, thanks everybody for supporting us, watching our episodes, making comments. We really appreciate it. Our partners at the world famous LIR.com, their website, Spotify.com as well. We had some issues with our last episode, John, which on those platforms, unfortunately, which may be good news for you because the last time we spoke, you were basically on the edge of a building as a Knicks fan, basically giving them no shot in game 6 to win. The Knicks come through. Dante DiVincenzo plays 48 minutes. Tom Thibodeau does not change his tactics and pulls it out. And now they face a Pacer team, which is a complete microcosm of the team they just beat, the 76ers. So, what do you think about this series, John?
Uh, well, number one, I will tell the audience I was wrong, and I was praying that I was going to be wrong that evening. So I happily accept my lumps on that. But I did say that they were still going to win the series. But you're correct.
Yes,
I
that is
totally
true.
poo-pooed them not winning Game 6. So I'll take my lumps on that. But I'll happily take the lumps. Uh, the Pacers are nowhere near the 76ers as far as a team in toughness. What they will do to you is, particularly if you don't play any type of defense, is they'll light you up for 130, 140 points in a split second.
Right.
So as long as the Knicks play their game and play defense and play them tough because they can't beat them on the boards, uh, we really should be able to handle this team. 5 games at max 6. They're a good team. They're a good team. I don't want anyone to think I'm underestimating them, but they're nowhere near as tough as the 76ers are. And again, totally different game. They run and gun. You just can't fall into their pattern. If you fall into their pattern, then you're going to lose the game. Bottom line. So the Knicks just have to play defense and play them tough. And use Precious Achua. Please
Expand the
extend your
rotation.
bench a little bit here. Even use Jericho Sims for like 5 to 10 minutes because they don't really they have that kid Turner. He's not really a dominating center that Jericho Sims can't cover him. So they got to use their bench more, really more, because they're going to run. I mean, they're going to run them ragged if they keep 7 guys.
I think it's a big. Yeah, we talked about not changing the tactics in Game 6, but he's going to have to change them in this series. Agreed. He's a perfect candidate to play, a good amount of minutes. We've already talked about it. 2025 a game easy for Achua in the series. I think it's a must. The Pacers, right? They have their own Tyrese. We went from Tyrese Maxey to Tyrese Halliburton. Now, Brunson, of course, is everyone's going to take Brunson over Halliburton, but it's not that big of a difference in the quality of player. So Indiana does have a major star. And
Yeah.
most of the people who follow the NBA know that, but maybe not the fans who don't.
Well, Halliburton did not have a good series against the Bucks at all. He was almost invisible in that series. If you really want to watch someone as Siakam, that that was a great trade for them. Great trade. He's a difference maker, but we have to be wary of Halliburton because, like I said, he really didn't play that well against the Bucks at all. And that nonsense about, oh, Yanni's going to come back maybe for Game 6. I love that. And then he said, I was never coming back. He said it. He says, I can't believe that they were actually saying this. Because I was never, not even close to coming back.
They had a disastrous season, the Bucks, firing their coach. We couldn't believe it when it happened. And they brought in Doc Rivers, a guy who's never been able to win. See, Doc won one championship though, right? Didn't he pull one
One,
out?
one,
One. He
one.
did get one. So I guess I can't crush him, but what a disaster for them. Injuries abound. Um, I mean, Pacers have, like you said, they've got quality players across the board. They got that pesky TJ McConnell coming off the bench, so he got
Yep.
a little mention by Josh Hart. So as you mentioned, John, they got to expand the rotation. Big thing to watch in Game 1.
Yeah. And there's another thing I wanted to correct also, because our guest, Mr. Gamal Smith, who asked me several times during our preview show uh, about the bracketing. I was totally unaware that they don't reseed. Look, if the Bucks would have won, the bracketing would have worked out perfectly because Cleveland is facing Boston, and it would have been the Knicks facing the Bucks. I thought that when the Pacers won, that they were going to be facing the Celtics, just because usually that's the way it works, but they don't reseed. So I have to apologize to our fans out there because I totally got that wrong, and I didn't quite understand why the Pacers were facing the Knicks. But when I spoke to our friend Gamal and also looked it up, it's sort of like the NHL in a
Yeah, they're
way.
doing the same thing. I think that
Yeah.
it has been they did reseed at one point. I mean, the NFL obviously reseeds. Maybe we have that wrong, or maybe we're so old. It's been 10 years, don't even know. Not a big deal, John. We'll let you off the hook there. We'll let you off the hook for not thinking the Knicks had a chance. But so what? Let's
Game
put
six,
some.
only game six, only game six. By the way, there was something you brought up last week during the NBA preview. So
Right.
remember when you were saying it's the turning over to the new guard, with the younger players? So
Okay.
this is the first time in 19 years that no LeBron James, no Kevin Durant, or no Stephon Curry for them to be in the second round.
Yeah, well, it's definitely
19
shifted.
years. And there's only 6 starters, they say, in the remaining teams right now. 6 that are over the age of 30. So you're talking about the young guys are taking over.
Well,
You
it's
were right.
funny is I we talked about the MVP of the NBA, and I wish I had the guts to say that I picked Anthony Edwards as the MVP of the season. I should have said he's going to be the MVP of the playoffs and picked Minnesota. Man, I would be looking sweet right now, but I didn't
Oh,
do
yeah.
it.
He played, I watched that game. Minnesota played Denver tough, and Edwards was, I think he scored 41 points or 42 points. He played
Outstanding.
amazing in that game.
He's
Amazing.
He's outstanding. And that's there are a lot of great new players. The Knicks are lucky. They've got one of them too. So Jalen Brunson, uh, and really just a tough guy, right? He's just a tough guy.
Oh,
The Knicks are a tough team. They are a tough team. Give them credit. If toughness wins, they've got a chance. We know it hopefully can happen. We want the Bouk to go up against the Celtic fans in the next round.
yes.
I'm dreaming of this matchup. Come on, Knicks. I'm going to take the Knicks, John, but I'm going to go 7 games. Knicks in
7. Wow. Okay. Uh, what about Celtics Cavaliers? So
All right, that's a good one.
there's no doubt that our friend there, who basically carried the Cavaliers to victory yesterday and actually scored 50. I mean, oh my God. If they're healthy, I have to say, because they didn't have Allen, they didn't have Mobley playing, they've been hurt. So if they're healthy going into that Celtics series, I hope that they pound on the Celtics. I hope it's a really good matchup for the Cavaliers. They're not going to bow down to Boston at all.
Well,
And
you
to
should
tell you the truth,
mention.
I think the Cavaliers would be a tougher matchup for the Knicks to play in the finals than the Celtics would be.
All right, well, there you go. And you're going out on a limb on that one. But mention who it was. Donovan Mitchell was the guy you
I'm
were
sorry.
talking about.
Sorry.
Let's not assume everybody knows the players, John, especially in
Yeah,
the
Donovan's looked good. You know what's amazing to me is he's been in the league for so long, and then you realize he's only 27 years old.
sure,
He's
yeah.
only 27 years old.
He's
Wow.
in that bucket of new great players.
Yeah.
Even though he's
Yeah.
been really good for a few years now, and I know Edwards has just really come on the scene. But it's great to see. It's actually great to see the old guys. And just like I don't know, maybe just I think the LeBron like he's just weighed on everybody. It's like enough. I know he's going to play another year. He definitely. Yeah, his kid got into the NBA Combine. You saw that. I'm laughing. I still say the Lakers draft him in the second round and he comes back. I don't think LeBron's leaving Tinseltown at all. His talk he could go back to Cleveland again for one last ride,
No.
and that's when they'll
No.
get the Cavs. I know it's hard to believe that they would do something like that, but anything to sell out the building, I guess.
Well, they do very well. Actually, a very interesting playoff series will be Dallas and OKC. That's again some great talent on both. I mean, the playoffs are so just the matchups. I mean, such great young talent that you could watch any night here. It's really,
Absolutely. Both sports, the winter sports
yeah,
playoffs are
yeah.
fantastic. Their regular seasons are kind of boring, let's face it, let's be honest, but their playoffs are great. They really are. The players care, especially in the NBA, who, let's face it, they do glide in the regular season. Hockey players never glide anywhere. Those guys are just wired differently, but
Yep,
still,
yep.
the season gets monotonous. Let's be honest about it. We're thrilled to death, John, right? This is going great. It's every other night. It's every night, I should say. We'll get more to that later. So we got, we want to get to some other stuff as well, unless
Well,
you got some other things with the NBA.
one quick thing with the
Sure.
NBA. One quick thing.
What do you got?
Uh, Jason Kidd actually got a multi-year extension today. from
He
the
did?
Dallas Mavericks.
All right. Well,
They're happy with him as coach.
it's a results business, John. Giving him the extension right before the series starts. Okay, give the players if I assume they like him. Obviously, Jason Kidd was great pro. Is off the court sometimes got a little out of hand, but he's matured, I'm sure, and he's done
Well,
better
as long
there.
as he doesn't continually go after Jim, or Jim Jackson doesn't go after his wife or something, he's okay.
Oh,
No,
John.
no, I have to give him credit because Kyrie Irving has been a thorn in everyone's side for years, and
Yeah,
for him to get him to play together with Luka, you have
yeah.
to give him credit because no one could handle that guy. He did.
Good point. And also, Kyrie needs to be like Dallas is a perfect spot for him. I just, the East Coast is just, the Northeast is not a good spot for him. So
Yeah.
perfect spot down there. Yeah, no, good series there. I mean, can Minnesota knock out the Nuggets? That would be a
Oof.
huge story. Obviously, after one game, it looks very possible it could happen. But who knows? You know how that works. So, all right. Well, let's shift a little gears. It's been post draft, a little quiet. I'm not going to get into like undrafted rookie players who are now getting all the article times, different stories about guys, getting into these camps. And the Jets have like 17 quarterbacks now, so it's just that just keep Taylor and Rodgers from actually throwing too much in these OTAs, which makes a lot of sense. Just let these young guys whip the ball around. But all is, great in Jetland, John. I still have yet to sit down and watch the Jets propaganda show. I know I need to watch it, but I have yet to do so because it's been a little crazy.
Well, a couple of things. Not with the Jets. So Steve Ross, I don't know if you read this, received an offer from Ken Griffin, the I'm not
Hedge
sure if he
fund guy.
owns another team.
No, Ken
Anyway,
Griffin doesn't own any sports teams.
no, he doesn't. Okay. So he offered $10 billion for the Dolphins, including their stadium and the Grand Prix. 10 billion. And Ross turned him down. Turned him down. He says he wants to give it to his family. 10 billion. That's a real overpay.
Ken Griffin's got the cash, John. But again, that's why we're ahead of the curve on this, and I've mentioned it many times. Hedge fund managers are not good sports owners. So
Yeah.
this would be another foray for a hedge fund guy. He will eventually own a team. It's pretty obvious that I didn't realize he was actually even remotely interested in it. He looks at it as an investment, but there is always a top to every market.
Well, and Miami, we're talking about Miami. They actually signed Odell Beckham 1 year,
Yes.
$3 million with incentives that could take him to 8.25 million.
Well,
So
that's what his deal should be. Let's face it, and that's what last year when the Jets were allegedly involved, we knew they weren't. They were involved at a low number. The Ravens broke the bank, and then there's a bad move for the Ravens. But
it was bad.
1 year deals always are something you can just kind of sweep under the carpet, right, John? You do a 1 year deal with a guy. It's the owner's money. They're maxing out that cap for their cap for that year. So you can't crush guys, owners who do that. You just don't want them to do it too often. So well, yeah, he's back with the Rams. So that's good for him. It's good for him because McVay, I think, likes him. And Lamar just plays a different sort of a game. That's the Ravens. The way they play is just different, and it's not conducive to wide receiver play.
Yeah. So he's in a warm climate. Miami is happy that he got him cheap. So
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I just said he went to the Rams? My bad.
yeah,
My
I
mistake.
thought you said that. All right.
I did say that, and I thought he went back to the Rams. I don't know why I thought
No,
that.
no,
You
he
had
went to
just
Miami.
reminded me.
Miami, the Dolphins.
Oh boy. Oh boy. There's a demerit. Maybe we'll have to cut that out of the episode, Mr. Producer. And also, by the way, I forgot to mention another mistake. Not saying to our YouTube fans, please subscribe to the episodes and please like the episodes because it drives the algorithm because we are a word of mouth show. So I believe we've got a comment out there on the baseball side, which I'll talk about
Yeah.
later. I thought it was a good topic that you would definitely like.
Yeah.
So
I saw
do
it.
you have any, because I do want to get to another sport before we get to that sport. And big
Well,
news. What, you got another NFL? Because we got
no,
big
not
news.
NFL. It's
Okay.
a different sport that I never watched except once a year.
Oh,
And
that's
I actually
true.
had to look at it on YouTube because I heard how close it was. The
Yeah.
Kentucky Derby.
I did watch
If
the Kentucky Derby. That was, yeah, that is funny. That's not the sport I was thinking of because we'll get to
oh,
that one too. But it's worth mentioning. Great race, by a nose, a head bob. What was it? Mystic Dan, I think is the name of the horse.
something like that, yeah.
And he was 16 to 1, John. And that's, a good payout for the old $2 bet for win to win, as the old saying goes. So, yeah, that brings a lot of intrigue for a week. Great race. It was a great race. And next week, or not next week, 2 weeks is the Preakness. And if the horse wins again, then we got a real story. But
Yeah.
the Kentucky Derby, which I have actually been to the Preakness and the Belmont, and I've never
Oh, you
been to the
have?
Kentucky
Oh,
Derby. I've been to both of those, but I've never been to the Derby, which is the one you really need to go to because that's like, I mean, it's a little bit of an elitist fest, but it looks like a cool event.
so if you go to that, you have to dress up. You can't go
Of
in
course,
like
that's what I'm
you're,
saying. Right, right.
yeah. So what do you get?
Yeah, I can't
I,
wear my t-shirt. I can't believe it. That's why I probably don't go. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. But we have to mention because it's so important for the local team. If we don't, people will say, what
oh,
happened? You guys did not talk about the new St. John's transfer, John, most people are not going to know who this kid is. And it's like, it's Davion Smith or Savion Smith. I'm not, and this kid is dynamite, John. He is and I was trying to think of a comparable for you, and it's really hard because he's so fast. And I really did think Iverson, but that's not fair because Iverson was such a great scorer. This kid is not a scorer, but just somebody that can create. I feel like a young Chris Paul
hmm.
he's lightning, lightning.
He's a senior,
So
right? He's a
he's only
senior.
going to have 1 year. Yeah, I think he's only going to have 1 year.
Okay. Okay.
So as an NBA prospect, he's borderline, but he's lightning fast. The fans are going to love him. There's so much going on in this transfer portal in college basketball. The teams are reloading,
Yeah.
and my team Baylor is also somebody a huge two now got their second big transfer from Miami. The big center, not big, he's like 6'7" power guy, Omir. So another kid with just 1 year, and they also got Jeremy Roach from Duke for 1 year. So college basketball's completely changed.
Well,
Kansas is loaded up, Gonzaga's loading up, Alabama's loading up, Connecticut again, John, is loading up, and
well,
St.
look what
John's is
happened
right
at
with
Seton
them.
Hall. Seton Hall has 8 of their players that are in the portal. 8.
Well, right,
And one
because
of them is Richmond that the St. John's might get.
that's what I was going to say. So, say Seton Hall is on the opposite end of that spectrum. They have brought some guys in, but they're getting crushed by the portal. If Richmond goes to St. John's, I don't see it, John, because Smith is a ball guy who's got to play with the ball, and Richmond is a ball dominant player as well. I don't think that combination is going to work. That's going to be something to watch. So just as a St. John's fan, even though everybody likes Richmond, I like Smith better. And I do like Richmond. He's a good player, but
Yeah, he's a
they
good
both
player.
can't have, there's only one basketball out there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of one basketball, Ludlam and Dingle are suing the NCAA because they feel like they should get another year of eligibility because of COVID. That the schools that they were at didn't play 1 year, so they feel
Yes.
like they're owed that year. So listen, I don't mind Dingle. I love Loveland. We could do without. I don't know. I wasn't that impressed with him,
I
but
think both those guys, John, if we're talking about Smith and Richmond coming in, I mean, Dingle's not going to play. So he's going to, I shouldn't say not going to play, but he's not
a
going to play.
backup. He'll be a backup.
Yeah, right. And that's good. You want quality veteran backups. When it comes to this portal stuff, you have to really wait till it is over. And now the majority of good players have moved on to different teams, but there's still guys out there, and there's still guys who can enter at a later date. I think it's temporarily closed, but obviously college hoops doesn't start till November, so there's
Hmm.
plenty of time to reopen, portal reopen. So anyway, so it's amazing what's happening. It's like free agency. It's like the NFL free agency. That's what's happening in college basketball.
Yeah, St. John's ended so far have had added 3 players. 3.
Yeah, well,
So
that's what most
there's
teams are
one that they're
doing.
talking about. I don't know him. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's going to be a center. He's going to be working with Zuby. So
Is that
not
Ejiofor
the
coming back?
Zuby here, Zuby at St. John's.
So Zuby Ejiofor will be back on the roster next year. Is that
Yes, but
that's
he's
it?
going to. But Patino wants him to play power forward. He says he's better suited for that position.
All
So
right.
they ended
Well,
up getting themselves a center. He seems to be a big guy,
I don't
defensive
know.
wizard.
I don't have the list of the St. John's guys. I just saw Smith today.
Yeah,
I think Smith's a really good player. But yeah, he's a pure point guard, but not a great shooter, but a penetrator, elite defender. You're gonna love him. You're gonna love this kid. I'm telling
yeah. They say he gets down and dirty.
you.
He'll get rebounds, everything.
He's good. He's good.
Okay.
And you play in Utah, sometimes that happens. And he's really a super player. So I hope I didn't, make the expectations too high for him, but I do think he's going to help them a lot.
Hey,
But
at
I
least we'll
do
know
think
we
it's a
have a
problem.
decent team this year. At least we'll know we have a decent team.
John, with Patino as the coach, you're going to have a good team. And they did kind of get screwed this year, let's face it.
Yes,
They're
they
going to
did.
be good if Rick Pitino's the coach. The guy hates to lose, right? His own team, his own players have said it. The guy hates losing.
Yeah.
He will build a winner. Now, is he going to build a Final Four team? That's another story we don't know yet, but they will be a winning team. And the Big East is going to be good again because UConn is now going to be is a perennial power. And Creighton, I don't know if you saw their big kid Calibran.
Yep.
Calibran's coming back. Another
Yep.
guy who's playing the extra year. So with this, I think it's finally the end of the COVID years. This is it, 2025 upcoming. So the teams will finally start getting younger again
Yep.
because we've been dealing with this veteran-laden college basketball teams, and it matters. It really does. An 18-year-old playing against 23-year-olds, that's not easy.
Well, and the other thing is the money that they're getting. Why not
Sure.
stay for an extra year? If you're not ready for the NBA, stay in college, make a million bucks, and you're good.
Yeah, no, well, it's the money's good, but the NBA, if you're a first rounder, they're still going to go, John. We've talked about
Sure.
that many
Sure.
times. I think the lottery's coming up right soon, the old draft
Yeah.
lottery. There's
Yeah.
not a consensus number one pick. I think there's another European coming out. And I saw Klingon today. They were talking about being a top. I had mentioned top five. They're talking about even being number one. I doubt it, but
Really?
there's no clear
Wow.
cut. There's no clear cut.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I think, like I said, there's one Euro who they like, but nothing like last year with Wembanyama. So
Yeah. Oh.
Victor is going to start showing off next year. Hopefully, San Antonio gets some help. Yeah. Anyway, so what else? You got anything else in the non-sport that we have yet to speak of? Because
Yeah.
I'm
There's a few
looking
things
forward
I
to this.
forgot to mention. I don't know if you remember. I'm going to say it's maybe about 2 months ago. I mentioned about a superintendent out in California that tried to stop students from participating in graduation because they didn't cheer her daughter.
Correct. I do remember
Remember?
this.
She has been fired as superintendent. They waited until the end of the school year and she is gone. Good decision by the board.
There you
And
go. A
one thing
little
in
update.
football that people may not know this name, I know 100% that you know this person's name. Bob Avellini from the Bears passed away.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Pride in New Hyde Park, I believe, right? I think he went to
70
New.
years old.
How many? How
Yeah,
old?
70.
He was 70. Wow, that's not
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Young man, yeah, Bob Avellini. I think he went to New Hyde Park, John. I
Yes,
don't
he
know why
did.
I think
He
he
was a
did.
Long Island boy. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's our. I don't want to say stars from yesteryear, but a local star, Bob Avellini. Sorry to hear.
And one other thing that I forgot with basketball is the Lakers fired their coach, Ham. He got fired, which you knew that was coming because if LeBron doesn't like you, you're gone.
Oh, please.
Another coach they go through. I mean, it's
That's
amazing how
unbelievable.
they go through coaches
I
there.
think you know what you know what should start happening, John. The NHL coaches that get fired every year should go coach in the NBA, and then have some of the NBA coaches go into the NHL, and then let them get like see how they do with that other sport. You never know because they're all going to get fired. I mean, it's beyond hysterical. Some of these
It's
franchises,
true. It's just retread city, I tell
it's
you.
unbelievable. Anyway, yeah, LeBron burns through another one, but nah, he's a great guy. Everybody loves LeBron, of
Oh
course.
yeah.
Anyway, enough
We
of
love his
LeBron.
political views too.
Well, we're not going to go there, but we're going to go to baseball with Boo.
Yes, Mr. Paul.
Oh
So
boy.
the New York Mets just got swept by the Rays. Diaz blew his first save in almost 2 years. Uh, through it's funny
Uh,
that you mentioned why he keeps throwing sliders. And what did he give up a home run on? A hanging slider. They were one strike away from winning that game yesterday, and he hung a slider. I
I
mean, it was a
must
meatball.
I must jump into baseball with Book because I did say a few weeks ago, I think at least 3 weeks ago, maybe longer, right? I shouldn't, it can't be much longer than that. But I was asking you, do you think there's something wrong with Edwin Diaz? And then you said he's rusty, and then you said it again last week. Now, what are you thinking now? You still think it's rust, or has he lost
No,
a couple of miles an hour on his fastball here?
no, I still think he's rusty because
All right.
if it had something to do with his arm, he wouldn't be missing by so much. Because if you notice this year, he's missing
Okay.
even with his fastballs. He's been off, and
All
same
right.
thing with his sliders. Usually, in order to strike out these, all these hitters, you don't want to be 3 feet off, just a little bit off. You want to entice them to swing. He's been way off on, like I said, with his fastball and his sliders. He's missing by a lot. So that to me shows that he's still rusty. I
Oh,
think you start to get concerned when warm weather comes and they pitch him more often. Hopefully they pitch because they're not using him enough actually. They're not bringing him up, to get some type of rhythm. It's very awkward the way they're bringing him in. Then you have to have concern if it's warm weather and he's been regularly put in the games and he's still pitching like this, and he's not the fastball's not coming back. Then you have to say, okay, what's
all right.
going on? But right
So
now, I think it's all rust.
so you're going with it's a command issue, which is a rust issue. So
Yeah.
he's lacking command. I'll give you that. It's only May 6th, plenty of time to go. Anyway, back to your Mets, who it's definitely disappointing. And at home, I'm not at home. They actually I shouldn't say it was home because there's all Met fans down in Tampa. That's probably why I said it.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about Pete Alonso all the time. He's killed them. I think he's batting in the mid 100s with runners in scoring position. I mean, he's been a strikeout machine. He's already struck out 31 times already. And went, yeah, no good. No good.
No, you're not kidding. No good.
No good. he has 8 home runs and 16 RBIs. But when Nimmo has more RBIs than you do, Lindor is not playing particularly, has more RBIs than you do. And DJ Stewart, who never plays, is only one behind him in RBIs. Pete's not having a good year.
Not at
We've been
all.
talking about this. And when they were interviewing him, because people don't want to know how much time I've been spending in the cage and working with. And he's right. We don't care how much time. We want you to produce. And he's not producing. And one of our fans actually left a comment for us about Jeff McNeil, and it's pretty funny that it showed up in the comments because I was actually going to bring up Jeff McNeil. I'm going to give him another month because I just can't watch him hit. I mean, he did it all of last year, and he's doing the same crap this year. He's just poking at the ball. He's slapping at the ball. I can't watch him hit another freaking pop up. I mean, what happened to him last
But
year? All
John,
right, I give him a pass. You were the batting leader. I'll give you a pass. Maybe he was a little hurt, but this year he has zero excuses. Yeah, he
so what
started
was
spring training late and blah blah blah. We're in May now, okay? No more of the slap. It drives me crazy. I mean, he's hitting with no power, no average. Ugh.
what was
So
the
the
exact
question was
comment? What
by the
was
fan,
John, what
yes,
was the exact comment? What was the comment?
would I? They say, Book, would you trade Jeff McNeil?
Oh, okay.
And my answer to that is, I will give him another month. And if anyone is willing to take on his contract, time to bring up some younger players. If the Mets are not doing well and McNeil keeps slapping a ball like this, it's time for him to go. If anyone's willing to take his contract, because
Uh,
he has uh, 2.5 years left at 12 million a year.
all
So
right.
yeah, no, I'm getting tired of Jeff. He was one of my favorite players, but I just can't watch him the way he's just poking at the ball. I mean, we need some power. We need something. I'll be satisfied with doubles, but everything's a bloop hit. Everything's a pop up. It's awful to watch. Awful to watch. As
So
much as
thank
he's a gamer, I like his hustle and he cares. But yeah, you know what? One person we have to talk about is Christian Scott. If anyone watched that game, he had that rough first inning, and then he just mowed down the Rays. He looked great. And Hauser, as predicted, as we were both talking about it, in the bullpen to straighten out his wind-up. Listen, this kid, if if he's going to pitch like that, he's earned his spot. You have McGill coming back. He's in AAA, coming back on a minor league rehab. And you have Senga, who's going to start doing his rehab in the minor leagues. So once these guys are coming in, Hauser should not be a starter. And then people keep forgetting about Peterson is going to actually be coming back in June as well. So we're getting some reinforcements with pitching, but I haven't been impressed with Hauser from day one, and I think I said that on this show many times. He worried me, and he's proven me correct so far. I hope he straightens it out. Maybe we could use him out of the bullpen for an inning, as long as he doesn't walk the world.
So
Um,
looking at the standings, they are already 7 down on the loss column to the Phillies,
yep,
and I think it's 6 to the Braves.
yep.
So we had
And what are they? 2 games out of the wild card?
that is absurd. Everybody's still going to be in the wild card. But we talked about this, John, that the Mets going into the season, not really even giving their fans much hope. But if they went out of the gate and they fell behind, it's going to be apathy city at Citi Field.
Yep. And you talk about a team that has already given up on this season. Did you see the trade that the Marlins made to the Padres?
Yeah,
The
did see that.
batting champ from last year, Luis Arias, for 4 three prospects and a Korean guy that I've never heard of.
Call him a prospect,
Reliever.
the fourth prospect.
But so the 4 players for him, 4 players. In his first game, he had 4 hits for the Padres. 4 hits. So that might have been, and by the way, very unusual that the Marlins actually paid $8 million of his salary this year. So I'm like, wow, that's unusual for the Marlins. So I would expect that they're going to probably start doing a fire sale. If they're already doing that, to give up one of their better hitters to the Padres, I think they're going to start dealing.
Strange
Another
move.
bad thing is Mike Trout out again. Torn meniscus. He's out 4 to 5 months now. Unbelievable. I mean, you talk about a guy that signed a massive contract and has not been healthy since. It's amazing. It's amazing. I feel sorry for him. He's an excellent player, but every year he's getting hurt with something different. Every year. And another guy who I can't understand why he's even in the major leagues still. Who do you think I'm going to talk about? Who's one of the worst hitters that you think is in the major leagues?
Your boy Daniel Vogelback. Are you going to give us the statistics?
No, not
No?
Vogelback. Actually, worse than Vogelback.
Well,
Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo. How could anyone sign this guy to any type of contract?
what?
He's bad. I looked at his statistics just for the fun of it, because I just can't believe how stupid some teams are. Over the past 10 seasons, his overall average is 195. 195. This year, he's batting 122 with 43 strikeouts.
For who,
I
though?
mean, what is.
Who
I
signed him?
just can't understand how anyone. Why is this guy in the major leagues? Why? Still,
Who signed him?
the Nationals.
Okay. Well, I don't think our average fan, John, remembers who Joey Gallo signed with. And he signed the
And
decent number. I kind of remember this.
yeah, I
So,
think it was like $5 million or something.
to hit 122.
Your friend Dom Smith was signed by the Red Sox, so he's probably gonna be the regular first baseman now.
Really?
Dom's been moving around a lot.
Wait. So what? Someone got hurt?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Not that I have any idea
I
what the
wanted to
Sox could
ask
do.
you a
Yes.
question. I
Okay.
want everyone to hear your opinion on this. What do you think about the Mets retiring Gooden's number and Strawberry's number this year?
What do I think about it? I think
Yeah.
I think I talked about this. I thought it was, it's a nice gesture. I'm not into this sort of stuff, but to me, it was a distraction, for Steve Cohen. Not a distraction, but something to
No,
give
but do you
back to
think
the
they
fans.
deserve it? Do you think that they deserve it?
I mean, people are going to say the off the field stuff, it doesn't make them deserve it. So if you argue the off the field stuff, then they don't deserve it. But if you're just looking as their contribution to the Mets, I mean, they're as made as major contribution as anybody to this organization. So that's my view on it. But I do think that they did it this year to give the fans, they threw them a bone because they knew that would be
Oh,
two
oh
events
yeah.
that the fans would be into while they're, trying to tell everybody they're in this rebuild mode. And from rebuilding from what? So that's been my, I've talked about this a lot. And it's just, I just find it, as a Met fan, it's disappointing because this owner came in guns a blazing. I'm going to do everything I can to win a championship. And all right, he made some bad moves, obviously. So that's on him and his and his guys that he hired, right? He hired Billy Epler. So Stearns is obviously a better GM than Billy Epler. So just
Yeah.
like Leon Rose, nobody thought that was a good hiring. I think Stearns is going to maybe fall into that bucket. As a Met fan, that's all I can hope for, John, that this guy actually does know what he's doing and he realizes that Pete Alonso doesn't deserve this mega contract and he's going to move on from him. And it's a results business. So
Yeah.
hopefully it works out.
And if they're gonna do anything with him, they got they have to seriously think about trading him. They can't let him go without any type of player compensation here. If the Cubs want him, let them load up on players and give us the players. Or if Seattle wants him,
John, this is going to take care of itself. I know Met fans don't want to hear this. This is going to take care of itself. Why? Because either two things are going to happen. One, he's going to continue to play poorly, which makes his trade value even less. So they may get stuck with him. Or he actually plays a little better and they trade him because they get to, like you said, bring in more prospects. So I actually think, we Met fans, you don't want him slumping because the Met fans are going to think, oh, Pete's hot. They're going to sign him now. No, 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 no. If the Mets are out of it by the trade deadline and they have no shot, he's gone, John. He
yeah.
is gone. And you got to hope he's hitting better because if he's playing like this, their value is going to go down the toilet because he's going to be a free agent in a few months.
And he hasn't. Listen, he's a good guy. He tries hard. He loves playing, but even defensively, he has not been good this year. I mean, he has been steadily improving as a first baseman, but man, he's looked really bad defensively this year too. I mean, he's practically tripping over his feet the
John,
way
he's
he's been
stressed
playing.
out. He's stressed out about the contract
Yep,
situation. It's
yep,
so obvious. We talked about this too. He's a sensitive guy. There's different personalities. He's a sensitive guy, and he's feeling it because he is a good guy. It's nothing to do with he's not a good guy. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's a good person, but his agent now has taken a couple of beatings and I think the owners have finally grown a spine when it
yep.
comes to Boris and not believing his garbage when he claims these other teams have these contracts lined up for him. He's been playing this perfectly, and the time has run out on the strategy. They finally figured the guy out, and then Pete, unfortunately, may be suffering like some of these other guys. I hate to
Yeah.
say it because if he wants to stay, get the deal done. But he's going to have to take less money than what he wants if he wants to stay. And I mean, these guys are, they're quibbling over, 120 million versus 108, 10 million or whatever the numbers are. I mean, they have to put it in perspective. Isn't their personal happiness more important than the extra? I know the agent wants that money. Obviously, he could care less about the player's, personal situation. But
Yep.
I mean, the player has to step up, and it's like it's no doubt it's impacting him. It's obvious.
Well, the fact of the matter is that Boris is putting in his head now that he should be getting either Matt Olson money or Freddie Freeman money, and I felt like saying he's not. He Pete is not a Freddie Freeman and will never be a Freddie Freeman.
Right. Well,
Um, and
that's
Matt
no knock.
Olson has actually been a better player than him. So, uh, to think that he's going to, I mean, and the Freddie Freeman numbers, I mean, they're talking about 8 years for Pete, 8 to 10 years. Stop dreaming. I mean, he said the same thing about Bellinger, and look what's going on with him now. Yeah, imagine if you were a team and you were going to give that guy 10 years. Oh, my God.
Well, John, maybe
Uh,
they finally figured out Scott Boras. So anyway, what else? I guess we should talk some Yankees. They're continuing to play
yeah,
well.
no, the Yankees look good. Soto is doing very well as I expected in the American League. He has 8 home runs. I think he has like 26 RBIs, batting in the 300s. Is what we expect him to be. He's a good player. He's a very good player. Aaron Judge has been in a slump. Anthony Rizzo has actually been playing very well this year. Good for him because he had that concussion all last year. And their pitching has been good. The kids, as we talked about, Clark Schmidt and Gill, pitching great. Stroman is doing okay. He's doing all right. Rodon is off and on, off and on. Who am I missing here? Yeah, Cortez. I think once Cole comes back, I think Cortez
He's the
has
odd
very
man out.
limited time left with the Yankees. He had one good year. I don't think he's very good.
Well, a good
Other than
call.
that, the Yankees they look good. Volpe looks very good. I mean, he's becoming a star in his own right. Torres, again, he's off and on, but they have some good talent on the Yankees. It's wide open in the American. I mean, really. I mean, the Astros are playing like crap. I mean, they are dead last with that team. Wow, you talk about a bad start of the year. They're much worse than the Mets when it comes to a bad start. So it's wide open in the American League, wide open. I
Well,
mean,
so the
the
Yankees.
Twins of all teams had a 12-game winning streak out of nowhere. And Carlos Correa's make it sound like he's the leader of the team, and he hasn't been doing anything.
Our old friend Carlos Correa. All right, so the Yankees are a playoff team, so that is pretty
They're playoff.
obvious. I'm
They're
I'm
playoff.
you know I'm teetering on my under 91 and a half. I'm still gonna stick with it because it's always fun to root against the Yankees, so I'm still there. I got the Mets in my back pocket at under 81 and a half. I don't see it. It's
All
the good
right, we'll
news is,
see.
but the good news is we're gonna know a month from now because Senga coming back. Is Scott going to be as good as he was his first game? He looks great. Unfortunately, suffering from the Jacob DeGrom disease. I mean, it really is incredible, right? They got one big run for the kid.
Yep.
So yeah, he's got like yeah, he doesn't. It's amazing because I think they showed like his release point is the same. Like he's just it's unique wind up, right? The way he hides the ball and he comes
Yep.
across his body and
He's a
doesn't look
bulldog.
like he's even like stressing when he throws. So he
Yep.
looked great after, I know it was, and he pitched, at least Mendoza let him pitch, right? He let him pitch into the
Yeah.
seventh.
Yeah. He
Good
was
for
a
him.
bulldog. I liked him.
Yeah.
Bulldog.
Yeah.
I
No,
I
he's so
I I
great.
kept saying, my wife was watching it with me, and I said he needs to get out of the first inning. Once he gets past the jitters are going to be gone, and he'll be fine. And that's thank God he got that double play ball to get him out of that inning. But all right. Anyway, for something that we have not done for the past several weeks, we are going to let Mr. Zubulake get the rant of the week.
Thanks, John. Yes, it's been a while. All the guests, we haven't been doing our rant, but it's back. I hope the fans are happy that they're back. Again, thanks as always for people who are tuning in. Hopefully, you're enjoying the content. But this is a rant, and it's just an old man rant because with the Knicks and the Rangers both in the second round, and just like 1994, every night the Knicks or the Rangers are playing. So this is just so difficult for us old guys, right, John? I'm just tired because you got to you cannot miss these games. And it's not even just about doing the show. Of course, for the show, we don't want to miss games, but just in general, as being Ranger and Nick fans, both of us. So this is the rant of the week. Would complain if the game wasn't on every day, but I got to tell you, man, it is tough to maneuver with working, having a family, following all these games. I'm just a little tired. So that is the rant of the week.
Boy, that almost sounds like a senior citizen rant. Oh boy.
It's time.
Well, at least that they're starting the games at 7 to 7:30. I mean, we
Yes,
have to pray that they don't start these games like they did the other night with the Knicks at 9 o'clock. I mean, that was ridiculous. That was absolutely ridiculous.
I
I
know.
mean, imagine trying to stay awake for that.
It's tough. It's tough for people who work and people who commute. It's brutal for those people. I don't have that issue right now, thankfully. But yeah, it's just rough and every night. So, not that every hockey fan is a basketball fan and vice versa. We know that's not the case. But for people like us, and there's a lot of us, they're watching every night. And the young crew can handle it, John. But us old folks, it just gets a little harder. But if they're winning, we're going to be happy to watch.
We'll get our shot of B12. I mean, it's not like when you're able to go out to nightclubs 3 or 4 nights out of the week and not feel it and be able to go to work the next morning. That's not happening.
That's enough. All right, John.
Unfortunately,
So
if you
let's.
eat anything, you'll fall right to sleep.
All
So
right.
make sure you
Speaking
don't
of
eat anything before the game.
speaking of getting to watch these games, I think it's time we want to run out and go watch the Knicks. Good luck for
Yep.
that. Good luck to them. So who do you got to thank before we go?
As always, thank you to our producer, Zach Zubulake, and to our loyal listeners and viewers. Keep the feedback coming and certainly the comments. We will definitely respond to your comments as well. Also, thanks to our community partners, Ronald McDonald House Kids and Seats and the Jackie Robinson Foundation. See you next week. Go Knicks and go Rangers.